Hello and welcome to the Shootout. We are 18 rounds through the season. The regular season is over, and Tom Coolo, as always, a very warm hello to you. What a season it has been.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the more congested and contested seasons I've seen. It was that beautiful, week in June when we had both our top two leaders knocked off. Sydney University beating Eastern Suburbs, then Eastwood beating Warringah, the defending premiers. As we go into the postseason, it's a whole clean slate. It's a whole new season in many ways, but I think we certainly need to reflect on what has been a brilliant 18 rounds of rugby, all across Australia. It's been fantastic.
We're going to get into the round 18 reviews on this somewhat special episode of the Shootout because this week we have the Ken Catchpole Medal and Rookie of the Year awards on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, as normal, we will record our previews and have a big look at the first week of finals. The finals are set. Eastern Suburbs take on Eastwood in the match of the round. And then we've got Warringah and Randwick again, but it's at Rat Park this weekend, and then Gordon versus Sydney Uni. So we'll rip into those on Thursday. But Coolo, the Ken Catchpole Medal night, always a special one. We spoke to Parksy a couple of weeks ago about it while he was on, but who's stood out for you, I suppose, from a top of the competition perspective?
It's a tricky one because it's voted by the referees, and often if you're in a side where there's 3 or 4 players doing really, really well, it's hard to look good. So, I mean, I look at some of the, the players that we're seeing emerging, like Ben Maher's been fantastic all season. And, the influence, impact he has on that Warringah side. We saw when he gets the ball in hand and goes into first receiver against Randwick, was brilliant. Isaac Crowe for Eastwood has been electric. We see a beautiful try for him versus West Harbour that broke that game open. Joe Dillon's been brilliant for Manly all season. He's had a breakout year. Boston Fokker for now has been a game changer for Uni since he's moved to 13. He has brought that team to life. He was instrumental for the win versus Eastwood. McDowell has been impressive as well. There's so many players to choose from. We were talking off air before, like Josh Boxer hasn't made the shortlist somehow, and was crucial for that win versus Warringah, at Rat Park a few weeks ago as well. So it just shows how many good players there are, in the competition.
And further to that, some of those players you've mentioned are right up there in the Rookie of the Year contention as well because of just how impressive they've been. So we've got some great young players who have come through. We've spoken about a lot of them through the year, and the Rookie of the Year will be awarded on Wednesday as well. But we'll have all of the reaction from that evening on the Shootout's Instagram channel. If you're not following us there yet, please do so. You can like and subscribe as well across YouTube. But Coolo, round 18, it was a beauty. A match of the round was after the Wallabies versus Japan. Eastwood knew what they needed after Northern Suburbs hammered Southern Districts at Forshaw, and it was an absolute cracker. Sydney University, another come-from-behind win at the death, but Eastwood doing what they needed to make the finals.
Yeah, did this game sort of have it all. I think the focus, rightly so, should be on Eastwood's resilience and ability to get the 2 points. They got the job done, right? But I think it would be remiss to ignore the Sydney University performance and that 80-metre try that they did in the 81st minute. After a 76-minute try to the Woodies from Jai Leg, Mangwassaw crashing over. And look, in many ways, you look at Eastern Suburbs, that win versus Eastern Suburbs at Beasties, a ladies' day, the win versus the Rats. But this could be the game for me that turns it for Uni, getting it done, in the dark after the bell. That's a massive win. Look, Uni opened up with a good try to Tom Morrison in the corner. Eastwood then dug their heels in. They sort of came out swinging after that try to Morrison, and Dengai crashed over his first of 3 tries. Their line out, their scrum, got up, was fantastic. He was so fired up. You could see the focus in his eyes, laser focus, going up against Tom Lambert, the Super Rugby player who signed with the Queensland Reds. He was absolutely brilliant, I thought. This is Eastwood side that we've seen all year, big, abrasive, angry, full of angry pillars is what we say. I thought there were good tries then to Fokker for now, who was the best player for Uni, kind of brought Uni back into the game. Schmood then crashed over as well. Uni leading 19-14 at one stage. And then Eastwood, as the done all season, just stayed in the fight. Off the back of set piece, big mauls, big scrum. Declan Moore didn't have the best night at hooker. The Woodies capitalised on that scrum and that line out that, wasn't really feeling it. A yellow card to Declan Moore, which was disappointing. And then Eastwood just capitalised. They were absolutely brilliant. Broderick Evans down Dengai with a lovely little kick there in behind, and that was a brilliant try. 28-19 at the break. Woods are on fire. University into their shell. We know they had a big bench. We knew that Eastwood were going to run out of gas at some stage. Turned into a shootout. Lambert scored 1, then Broderick Evans scored 1, then Fokker for now took it to the house in the 60th minute, running about 60 metres off a great strip from Regan. He was instrumental off the bench, I thought, as was Falau Fainga. He was absolutely brilliant, as was Eddie Mawala as well. That University bench stabilised the set piece and the scrum massively, which was a real turning point in the game. And there's that try to Jai Leg in the 76th minute. Then you could see behind the post, Nick Champion de Crepney sort of talking to his troops. You could see, the young players responding and taking it all in. And there was that belief, and you could see it. And we talked about how important wins can be against Eastern Suburbs on Ladies' Day. But for me, this is where you get it done. A dead rubber game on a Saturday night that had no impact on who they played next week or where they played or the table. It was just about getting it done for each other, and that's exactly what the university side did. I think it also exposed how important Matt Phillips is to this side, who was notably absent, having a week off. He's going to be massive back this week versus Gordon, but Eastwood were brilliant. It's just so hard to fault them. Jai League was brilliant. 6 of their 8 of their pack going 80 minutes. That's unbelievable. Goddard going 80 minutes, against the university side, Super Rugby players. That's just incredible. I thought Griffin was fantastic, ran a great line out as well. I thought Broderick Evans and Goddard just controlled the game. They game managed it really well, and they outplayed the university 9s and 10s. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. Brilliant plays. The best game we've seen of them all season. I need to do more again next week. But Eastwood, what a way to get themselves in the finals. And university, they keep marching on, Will.
Certainly do, and I'm now fascinated to see if Eastwood can deliver that again this weekend against Eastern Suburbs, but we will talk about that on Thursday evening and Friday morning. That'll be live or available on YouTube. Hunter Wildfires 33, Western Sydney 2 Blues 34. The 2 Blues look damaging and dangerous in the back line, but Hunter's work at the breakdown and contact kept them at bay. Turn the ball around, and then down the other end, the opening try was a peach. Talaleva just pushing people back and out of the way, and then lovely from Connor Winchester, weaving his way through like the Winchester of old. Game number 50 for him. So try Connor Winchester back in the 10. Hunter led 7-0. That dangerous and quick-stepping back line of the 2 Blues did plenty of work to then hit right back. And at the other end for the 2 Blues, a try from Christian Papa. Huge second try from Hunter, controlling field position. When they can afford to, they contest it at the breakdown, and then huge scrum against the feed. Logan Love doing what he does. Welcome back to him. A try, great game awareness for his 7th of the season. So Hunter up 14-5 in the 28th. Hunter came out flying to start the second half, but just like a tiny bit of execution and against the run of play, the 2 Blues showed their absolute brilliance. Smiler Akiong ran 40 metres, weaving his way through, making everyone miss, and passes off to Sue, who showed power and balance to score for a 21-17 scoreline after the conversion with 30 to play. They exchanged yellow cards and a second try from Rilo Sue for a try from Marley Manakia, put the 2 Blues in front with 15 to play. Mike Gillard came on for Hunter, ensured their line-out capitalised whenever they got the chance. And Bradford scored from a maul to tie it at 31. The conversion put them up by 2. And Oscar Lane came on in the 74th minute, and I reckon just through the sheer presence of one of the great hairdos, if not the greatest in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield in 2026, the 2 Blues got a penalty, and Reece Sue slotted it from 40 out for a 1-point lead, and eventually a 1-point win for the 2 Blues. So they finished well. They showed so much this year. A lot to like about their backline. The forwards have been strong and physical. They've missed a couple. Braden Stewart wasn't there, who's had an incredible season. Miss Salami and Dolakoto wasn't there either. But the players who came in did really well. And Hunter, if they can have a similar sort of squad and find that continuity, Connor Winchester was great at 10. They've had so many people through 10. Cullen Gray was great, but he's out at fullback. Haven't been able to click Hunter, so a season of what could have been, I think, for them as well. Randwick, Coolo 22, Warringah 33. Huge performance from Warringah, showing that full club depth that they really need come finals.
Well, I'm more than happy to say that Warringah surprised me and possibly everyone. I think just letting the competition know they're still a threat and they're genuine frontrunners and they should be in the finals and they'll have a dominant place in the finals. I think keep in mind they lost 3 of their last 6 games, including 2 games at home and 2 games on the trot. Big loss to Uni and Gordon. But, it was pretty impressive. And I thought Byron Smith had his best game of the season. I also thought Ben Maher was just absolutely fantastic and it showed the depth that you touched upon there. Well, Tyson Davis crashed over. Big shoes to fill. LeBron and I are out, but I thought they lost nothing. He was physical, he was abrasive, he squared the line up well, and he created space on the outside, particularly for Saunders, who I also thought was fantastic. Gage Phillips crashed over there in the corner. Nice hands from Kellaway. That was the first of 3 tries for Gage Phillips. He had a good day at the office. I think after Barnabas then crashed over the 15th minute and then a yellow card to Ulibau for swinging arm in the 21st minute. You thought Warringah could have gone in their shell, but they didn't. And this is where Ben Maher stepped up, who I think probably might win the Ken Catchpole Award Stepped up at first receiver, which is what he does. And because he's so big and rangy and abrasive, he's quick off the mark. He's an offload option as well. So he draws in 2 defenders and did a great job generating some quick ball just on the fringe of the ruck there for Ben Fuinu, who accelerated about 30 metres and scored under the posts. And that in the 28th minute really kind of accelerated things for Warringah. They got a real kind of spring in the step off the back of that. Randwick not contesting the breakdown, a lot of gaps there around the fringe. So heads up play there from Fuinu, who's been a brilliant night this season. He's gone under the radar massively, and we know Josh Holmes is a massive fan. Wick spent the next 10 minutes, knocking on the door, and then it was yellow card to Latu. That's 2 in the first half. Pat Lataraka came on. This shows the depth he touched upon there, Will. They shifted Bo Abbott a loose head prop. He stabilised things. And this is probably the most stable and rock solid we've seen the Warringah scrum this season, and the line out as well. So touching upon that change at hooker, which has been, really important. Taliban has been fantastic for them as well. Good try there. Declan crashing over, I think, just after half time. Individual brute strength, 17-21. Game on. Rats counted immediately. They were down a man, showing that Ben Fuinu, then at halfback, marched into trips. The first time we've seen Warringah just like that urgency and that willingness to get out the advantage line, to generate quick ball and to win. And we saw that from everyone. They really wanted this game. They realised how important it was. They stepped up massively. It was a really, really good try there from Byron Smith crashing over. And then Barnabas crashed over as well. They were flat, they were direct, they were fast, they had purpose, they had intent. They were absolutely brilliant there. Rats up by 15 minutes, 25 to go, and the game managed themselves so well. Fuinu, Byron Smith, Ben Maher. They found grass, they found space, which is interesting with the back three for Randwick, who tried to run from anywhere, but just couldn't get out. Great breakdown pressure from the back row. Barnabas was brilliant. Thought Sutter was brilliant as well. Whitman, too, coming off the bench. A lot of depth there. Rats, massive win for them. Consolation try by Phillips for his third in the 76th minute, but going to Coogee and winning, and then, in that circumstance is really, really impressive. It's a real statement to the competition and a statement to the Wicks, who they then have to head back up to north of the Warringah Peninsula. So that's going to be an interesting game because they both show a lot of cars, seeing each other, see how they go this week in finals footy when it matters the most.
Yeah, we're set up really, really well for this coming weekend, aren't we? Southern Districts 24, Northern Suburbs 71. A huge win in the end for Norths, but it was a good old-fashioned bog at Forshaw, and it was hard to know if you're looking at the mud through the middle of the pitch in delightful anticipation or the wonderful platinum through Kane Douglas's head of hair. Welcome back to the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield to him, played with his brother Jake. Terrific scenes, but North scored in the second minute, and Marshall Lemaitre was bursting away, releasing Liam Donnell, who's been brilliant since making his debut a month or so ago. South kept at it again. North's cut them around. The Shawman's left wing again. Souths have been sort of digging into the line a bit. This time it was Callum Circus scoring to help make it 12-0 in the 11th minute. Margan was big. Lemaitre was having his best game of the season from what I've seen from him, at least this year. Norths were playing with depth and pace, and while Souths were hitting hard and trying to contain them, the Shawmen were very, very crisp and with great shape, 1-15. The only thing better might have been Zach Beer's coaching box at the Caringbah Hotel surf boat on the far side of Tyner Motors Park. Thomas Gibb continued his fine season, scored South's first in the 23rd minute with 7:19 after the conversion. The next try was pretty fun. North's turn it over and contact, Brady Dawson and Karapa being weapons. Lemaitre, Margan, Fuimaona show some ball skills, then Wilcox to Donnell, who kicks. The ball plugs. Nathan Russell coming through, kicks it off the deck beautifully. Donnell's wing charges down, puts it down to score his second. The scrum was really good for Norths as well. Forwards heavily involved in the attacking line too. It was a big performance. They knew they needed to win and win well to put the pressure on Eastwood. Somewhat showed this performance what I think we all knew about Norths, if they could put it all together, and they certainly did. Margan scored in the corner to help make it 38-7 at half-time. South scored first in the second half, did what they've done all year, kept fighting, kept looking for an opportunity. Radamat Davuki Neepkins was great when he could be, but North just kept moving the ball and ran around Souths, in fact, and just pulled away for that massive win. So credit to North to finish off a good campaign of what might have been for them and for Souths. So many great young players coming through. We've spoken a lot about them through the season. If they can keep a few of those together, build again with new leadership, I suppose, from a coaching perspective. If they get Cameron McKenzie back in, that's a huge win for them too. But big season for Souths. Not the results that they wanted, but plenty of moments to celebrate. Manly Coolo 29, Gordon 26. Another fascinating clash.
Yeah, got this one wrong as well. You have any money on? Yeah, look, Manly setting off coach Sam Lane, so fitting. And you can see what it meant to him after the game. It was great to see, Manly in round 18, knowing they could make the finals, to play that kind of passion for their coach and for their club. It wasn't quite the round 16, 28-0 versus West that Gordon started. The 22-0 down. I can imagine Sam, Coach Dave Telford tore the paint off the walls with that spray. Miles off the back of a big scrum, Tal Lima, with the help of Cade Neville crashing over. It's what Cade Neville's brought that set piece, driving up to Hume Highway to play every week. I think that's just fantastic. That's what the Shute Shield is all about. I'm all about Cade Neville, particularly, what he has to set piece for that young side. Looking then what happened, Taulina crashed over, muscling over as well. And suddenly sort of Manly, off the back of having, some really poor discipline from Gordon, poor territory management, poor game management. They were flat. They weren't winning the collisions, they weren't winning the contact. As you talked about, Southern Districts was a bogmire, as was Manly over. The pitch doesn't handle itself well at all. Before we knew it, you had Gordon down 19-0, and Manly were winning all the collisions, winning all the set piece, winning all the contact. A yellow card there to margin as well in the 45th minute. And Will Cakes, slowing that goal on half time. Gordon went into the shell, and they needed to come out swinging. It was the skipper that stepped up, Milan Basson crashing over. Lovely little bit of footwork there on the outside. Still down 14 men. Spinks with a great kick to cross over there. And then Tarval crashed over as well. A couple of changes at halftime. Conor Ferranisi came on for Wayne Borsak. He stabilised the scrum. He was absolutely critical. And then Gonno crashed over. Nice little, scoot around the ruck there. Had the player napping and crashed over. And suddenly it's sort of 21-14. 21 points apiece there in the space of 15 minutes, which was really impressive there from the Gordon Highlanders coming back into the fight. But, they made a lot of changes there. We saw Trevor Hosea come on as well. We saw Lockie Alberts came on. We saw Presley Tafanga come on. And that next 15-minute period between the 55th and 70th minute, you could just see Gordon just not quite really connecting in that cohesion. A lot of clunkiness, a lot of penalties as well. They struggled to get into that momentum they love, that east-west expansive style of rugby. Manly just found themselves the right part of the field at the right time. Terry crashing over, barging himself under the sticks. And that was Manly's first points of the second half. Spinks then crashed over in the 78th minute, but it was too little too late. Manly were always going to win this one. Conditions never suited Gordon. They couldn't get in a rhythm at all. We talked about the University win versus Eastwood, Dead Rail, Gordon's win. We wonder how his momentum kind of changing games may affect you, but look, the focus should be on Manly and Coach Sam Lane for this win. Brilliant stuff by the Marlins, going out in that style against Gordon. And it's whether or not this is going to affect Gordon next week, going into the finals. Is that going to be a momentum starter for them? And will University capitalise that win versus Eastwood? Because we saw this have an impact last year when East lost to Gordon 35-17 in round 18, the semi-finals. So it can be a starter up, losing that round 18. Let's see if it has an effect next week.
Yep, another one that's just leading into so beautifully, isn't it? Eastern Suburbs 40, West Harbour 10 at Wallara, the final game of round 18. It was 7-0 within 2 minutes when Rob Cobb strolled through after a Varlotu, a nice pop pass from him near the line. West started to work their way into it, and Cam Orr was working the scrum over, a couple of scrum penalties on his side. They benefited from a yellow to Sid Harvey, and then also Otto Serfontaines. At one point, it was 15-13. Easts were hanging in well, but it opened up with that two-man advantage, and Matt Whelan scored West's first try, his ninth for the year. Scored a second try a few minutes later, but West Harbour had lost Eamon McCullough to the bin. It was a willing contest, fair bit of chip, a lot of work at the breakdown from both sides. East scored on the wing through Andrew Smith with the extra room with McCullough off. It made it 12-10 East after 28 minutes. West were throwing plenty out the Eastern Suburbs, so Debrasini was turning them around really well. In a lot of ways, it was a great tune-up for East. They did not have it their own way. They were far from clinical. Rin Lowry had been tested in the scrum, but then burrowed over for his seventh try of the campaign. Harvey converted, and it was a 19-10 lead. So East still controlling things on the scoreboard. Red-hot battle continued into the second half. Brent Davis came on at hooker, executed really well. Josh Boxer scored a try in the 50th minute, and that was very important for East to keep West Harbour at arm's length in so many ways. Hannaford had been great. The forwards abrasive for West Harbour. The game was waiting and wanting for someone to take their moment, and Boxer spied a gap and took it. Serfontain's defence was important. Tom Girl, Boxer Varlotu too. Dawkins was good throughout the game. East pulled away, but West Harbour really tested them. It was a nice finish from the Pirates, but the tired legs grew pretty heavy across the board after what's been a long season. And it was a funny one for us. They used their bench really well. Some good minutes for plenty of new and different players. Did well to keep West Harbour out of it. Justice Timopiau, Nate Tia were good. Timopiau scored a nice try. To a huge amount of love from the Eastern Suburbs squad. They came from everywhere to celebrate with him. So you can see what that means for them, bringing those players through, and famous names at Eastern Suburbs as well. Gibson, Coolo were great off the bench, very important. So it sets them up well in a lot of ways. Cross got good minutes and they were able to rotate players through nicely. There'll be plenty of changes, I think, coming into that match on Saturday in the finals. But for West Harbour, Jack Debrasini was great. Terrific to have him back. Pete Samu battled hard. Debrasini's now part of the cult setup for West Harbour too, so congratulations to them and him. Cam Orr potentially stepping away, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with the side for next year. But Hunter Hannaford's been great. Aidan Worm's been terrific. Iremescu, serviceable as always. Alcock was great on the side of the scrum too. Whelan, McCooler. We've spoken about West Harbour and what they've been able to build in the back half of the season. So again, we're hopeful that we can see this class continue to rise with a lot of these players in the competition, but that is a conversation for another day. Coolo, round 18 in the books. The regular season is finished. It's been a great one. We're going to have to start thinking about our teams of the season too. We released our teams of the mid-season, a lot of chat around that. We can only fit 15 in a side, though, can't you? So we have to leave some players out, which we don't like doing, but we'll have a look at that through the finals, and maybe that can be a season wrap show. But Coolo, as always, thank you for your thoughts on what was another great round of football, and we can't wait for later this week when we can have a good look at those three finals.
Absolutely looking forward to the previews.
Good on you, Coolo, and good luck to everyone in the Ken Catchpole medal. We'll look forward to previewing the finals a little later in the week.